welcome to Vimcal. Really, Vimcal is just a layer on top of either your Google Calendar or your Outlook calendar. So when you first attempt to sign into Vimcal initially, you'll see this welcome screen, and you can choose between, Google, Microsoft, or Outlook, or if you set up SSO prior to the call, we can also work with that too. So once an EA signs in, they would then be brought to just their calendar. So I'll kind of walk through four main features, but I kind of want to set up how each feature works and how it's going to help EAs. So we'll look in this sort of upper right-hand corner, and it's basically called quick actions. And these are basically the 3 or 4 features that we think are most useful when it comes to how EAs like to work. The first tool we'll look at is slots. So a big complaint is when somebody or when an EA is starting to schedule for their exec, they need to switch between their calendar and their email. So, manually looking and seeing, Thursday and Friday from, 8:30 to 10 is open, and then manually typing that out. In Vimcal, we try to make it a little bit easier. So if we click on slots, instead of manually typing out the times, all you have to do is drag with your cursor, and Vimcal will create just this email formatted message with the times that you're looking to offer for your exec.
That's brilliant. And from there, you can pop that into an email and just fire that off then to whoever needs to know the times.
Exactly. So once we feel comfortable with this range of times that we're looking to offer, all we have to do is hit this blue button in the lower right-hand corner to copy it to our clipboard. And we just go to our email then, and we'll go ahead and just paste that in. So this removes sort of that need to jump back and forth and just do less steps and grabbing those times and then just pasting it into the email.
That would save assistants so much time. That's really simple, but really, really effective.
Right. And again, it's just sort of those small actions that start to add up just throughout everybody's day. The other thing that we find really useful when sharing availability is working with different time zones. So the other complaint is when we're offering these times, you have to maybe consider 1 or 2 other time zones. So as an example, I'm in San Francisco, so I'm in Pacific time, but let's say I need to meet with somebody in New York. Underneath this sort of email draft that we give you, there's this plus to where you can basically add an additional time zone. So if I type in New York, what we're seeing here is on the left-hand side, we're getting that side-by-side comparison of what the time difference would be. And Vimcal also shows this smooth white section in the calendar for the week. This is just displaying overlapping awake hours. So you can ensure that you're offering times that aren't too early or too late for people in those time zones.
And the same applies if it's an international time zone. So, for example, I'm in London. You could put a GMT in there, and it would show the same times. It's not specific to the country that you're in.
Exactly. So I'll add London just as an example here. And so we did notice a few things happened. We did add that London time zone, so the window did get a little bit smaller. But we're also noticing that within the message that we give you, it also adds those additional time zones. So you no longer have to manually do that yourself. I know that's also kind of a point of friction just when sending or sharing availability. Cool. And so
that's really good. It's picked up that our clocks go forward this weekend. And I love that you're looking at next week's calendar. So I love that it's picked up the time change as well, which can, again, throw people off, because I know in America, you guys, the clock's changed a few weeks ago. For us, it changes on Sunday. So yeah, that's caused no end of trouble. So that's brilliant as well.
Yeah, it's like GMT to BST, right? That's the
yeah.
difference. Yeah. Cool. And then again, once you feel comfortable with the set of times you want to offer, we again copy it to the clipboard, and we'll just see that this is what it looks like now in email.
Fantastic. You're exactly right. That back and forth between your email and the calendar. Having done that myself personally, I know. And then you forget what time you put, and then you have to go back. So no, that will save so much time.
Right. And to sort of add on to, because that's a good point that you bring up, like remembering the times that you've offered. I do think that sort of like that last pain point is holding times on the calendar. So if an EA has like maybe a higher priority meeting that they need to schedule, a lot of the times they'll put holds on the calendar. A few things come up with that is sometimes you forget the holds that you created, and so you don't remember to delete all of them, or it's just hard to manage the times that you've offered. So when you're using slots, there's actually an option to create holds for those times. So I'm going to go ahead and just maybe share a few times for this week, and I want to hold them. So I just check this box here, and you can also give context for what the hold is going to be for. So I can say meeting with, and again, I'm just going to copy this to the clipboard, and we'll see that these times are now being held in the calendar. So your exec has visibility on those times that you're sharing.
Fantastic. And it's just, yeah, it's done all of them at the same time.
Right. And so you don't have to one by one kind of like go back and make those changes. The reason I really like the holds is once we've sent those times out and shared them, let's say the person that wants to book the meeting says, okay, Dylan, Friday 10 to 10:30 works for me. All the EA has to do is go back into the calendar and look at the hold that they want for the meeting. And Vimcal just allows you to easily convert it into a meeting. So you'll see here that there's like this little like block for 10 to 10:30. So I'm just going to click on that here. And now all that's left to do is just enter in the person that we're meeting with and creating the event.
And it deletes the holds.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So again, a lot of like that back and forth or just those small actions in the calendar, we try to just eliminate that for you.
I'm getting my head around how much time this saves.
Yeah, no. Again, hopefully, it just adds up over a week.
Yeah, because I think I was told that it can save assistants an hour a day using Vimcal. But I think depending on how busy your executive is and if you're managing multiple executives,
Right.
just this one thing you've showed me, if not, minimum an hour a day.
Right. No, totally. And that's sort of the thing is like we find that a lot of EAs are maybe scheduling for 2 to 3 people. So again, this is just sort of like peace of mind, not having to do as much back and forth work for each exec.
Yeah.
Cool. I'll go ahead and pivot to our next feature. This is going to have more to do with like internal scheduling. So we call it our meet with feature. So if you're looking to coordinate times internally with some other team members, you can easily search their names here. So like if I want to meet with Erlich and maybe Dinesh. Cool. So I've overlaid their calendars here on top of mine. And let's say I just want to find the best or next available time within the week. I can have Vimcal sort of automate that process for me by using find times. So if I click on the meeting button, this is just going to basically display all of the open blocks of time that all of us are free and available. I think this is really nice because a lot of the time you're kind of playing Tetris with trying to identify open blocks, and this sort of jumpstarts that process again of identifying what's available, what's free. And then, once you have that time, you can select it, and it just starts the process of adding everybody to, the same event. And then you can sort of go through and adjust the event details as well.
Do your colleagues need to have access to Vimcal as well, or is it pulling their information through the fact that you're connected on the same server and you've got the same email address?
Right. So how Vimcal works is as long as you give access to like your Google like calendar visibility, we can then like just share those same permissions in Vimcal, so we can see like just anybody within your domain as long as you have access to view their calendar. We just pull that over from Google. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, there shouldn't be any extra like need for people to know that you use Vimcal. It's really just a layer on top. So we just take the permissions that you already have in Google,
Yeah.
play those calendars.
And they will have had to have opened up their calendar for people to be able to view it, which 9 times out of 10 in an organization, everybody does that.
Right, exactly. So you most likely already have that visibility. So we just mirror that in Vimcal. So yeah, no
Great.
extra steps needed. It's just all kind of in that initial login process. So, super easy.
Yeah, that's yeah, again, another really great feature.
And just to kind of fully go through this, once we've had that like time that we've decided on, we just hit create event, and you can choose whether or not you'd want to send it to them. And then we'll see that the final event is here.
Fantastic. And as you said, that saves the back and forth again, doesn't it, between, particularly if it's with you as the EA and you're organizing a meeting maybe with other members of the team.
Right.
I don't know if you'd necessarily use this feature if you're trying to arrange a meeting with, say, another senior executive who also has an EA. But for, team meetings and things like that, when it is, you just need to find a time slot. This
Right.
is super helpful.
Totally. And to sort of touch on that next point, let's say you're coordinating with a group of EAs, and you just want to find like times that work for everybody. I think our group polls feature is really nice. So it's a more of like a collaborative feature. It could be used internally, but it could also be used externally if there's just multiple EAs from another company as well. So what I'm going to actually do here is when you click on group polls, it's going to bring up these two options here. And I kind of want to show us like group spreadsheets. So this is just like a spreadsheet that allows you to offer times and then have people vote and comment on times that work for their exec or themselves. So as an example, we start with the title. So maybe it is board meeting. And maybe board meetings are usually, 60 minutes. So we have the title and that duration. And I think the next most important part is just adding attendees that are supposed to be on the call. So I'm going to go ahead and just add teammates here. Perfect. So, we have those teammates that we want on that call. If by chance, like some of these attendees are like critical, or their vote like matters more, essentially, or their schedule is maybe more priority, you can also choose to make them like a critical attendee, just so their vote is kind of towards the top, so you can visually see what's available for them. And then, maybe we'll just go through and, select a few times here. And you can also choose to add like the external attendees that are supposed to be on the call. So maybe we add like 2 or 3 of them. So we'll do that, and maybe we'll do as well. Perfect. So we start to have our list of attendees for this call. And once we feel comfortable, let's say we do maybe a few more times here. Once we feel comfortable with these times that we're about to offer, we just hit create. And this generates basically like a quick link that you can share within that email thread to sort of get the group started with just voting on a time or just deciding on what time would work best for that potential meeting.
Okay, so this is like an inbuilt, I suppose the brand leader in this sort of space is Doodle.
Right.
What's really nice about this, and from I've always said to assistants, you should do something like a Doodle poll.
Right.
And so many assistants come back and say, don't like using Doodle because the free version has adverts on it. It doesn't look very professional. People hate filling those polls in. They're a bit messy. But what works really well with this is it looks really clean. It looks very professional. And it's coming from the person's email rather than a link being the Doodle poll link. So I love that feature is, because I always thought that was really useful for assistants, but I completely understood why they didn't do polls and they did the back and forth instead. This is really, really well put together.
Yeah. No, and I think again, a lot of the tough part is maybe they couldn't also like add comments. Like we've received feedback that maybe it's important to say like, you know, for a specific day, maybe their exec could join 10 minutes late, or maybe they can only join through phone call. Just maybe having that added context can also help like move the process along a little bit quickly, or a little bit quicker. So
Yeah.
you can say like, only available via phone, or maybe for Pat. Um, and so again, as we start to fill a lot of these out, um, you know, we'll hit save, and it just again submits that vote for us. And as the organizer, what we can then do is if we go back to Vimcal, we can see the live results in app so that you can sort of check back in and see, okay, like this many people have voted, and this seems to be the time that would work best for that meeting. And then once you sort of have that visibility, you can just hit create. And again, it adds everybody that's supposed to be part of that call just to the event form, to where you can, just add any last minute details and hit create event.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, really, really helpful. And the fact that it's inbuilt inside your calendar as well is, you haven't got to go off to a different piece of software. It's all, automated and linked together. I think that's brilliant.
Yeah. And so kind of to your point again, the hope with Vimcal is that everything is sort of now in one place. So you don't have to, jump to those different tabs or those different tools. Everything is just kind of built in.
If you could explain how an assistant, okay, so they're using either Google or Microsoft, they tend to be the two, so Outlook or Gmail. How do they add Vimcal to their email system? How does it sort of how does it function when you initially think, okay, I want to use Vimcal? How do I connect it to my calendar?
Right, exactly. So the nice thing with Vimcal is, let's say we just go to vimcal.com. There is like a try it for free button. And they would just basically click on that, and it would take them through just like maybe 2 or 3 questions just to sort of understand what their use case is and maybe how many people they normally schedule for. And then they can easily like, book an onboarding call, and then we sort of walk them through the process of signing in and just setting up their calendar.
So they don't have to do it, that somebody in Vimcal will do it on their behalf, making sure it's all functioning correctly.
Right. So I think the approach that we, like to take is we like to do these one-on-one personalized onboardings just so we can sort of get a better understanding of how they tend to use the calendar or like to schedule. And then we show them the features we have today, but really that's just scratching the surface of kind of like the other tools that we offer to just make their lives a little bit easier. So yeah, that's sort of like the approach we take is those one-on-one onboardings.
That's brilliant. I think that's really helpful. No, thank you so much for demoing everything for me. I know that, as you said, you're not really scratching the surface, but I think you've just shown me 3 things there that would be really, really helpful to assistants. So I appreciate it. Thank you.